Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I have a new product here, and I'm actually pretty excited about this one for you guys because many of you guys use pliers, and especially slip joint pliers is my thoughts today on kind of what I want to look at, going through kind of my history of slip joint pliers and why I have this set right here in front of me. So hang tight, we're gonna go through what I have here, why this is actually something to consider, both the good and the bad that's involved with it. We'll actually try it out on a couple bolts here to show you how it works in comparison to these other ones, and where you can find it, and overall if it's the right product for you guys. So jumping in, slip joint pliers are very common for most of us. You know, I've got some old sets here that I've had for a long time. Got some Lakesides. I got some very popular Crecents. These are actually a pair that I've used for a very long time. That I even still use a little bit today. These have been a really good set of pliers, and I've since upgraded to these Snap-ons, these 47ACF's, as well as these icons that I've reviewed already in a previous video. So feel free to hunt that video down to go over it, because these are actually very similar products. And so I've used all these, and they've all have their strengths and weaknesses. You know, the traditional slip joint is a single, right, slip. So you go from the small to the larger. And what it does is it allows you to grab those larger fasteners with one set of pliers without trying to hunt down a separate set. And what's great about the Snap-ons is they offer 3 settings. So 3 different openings to increase that ability and to give you that extra little customization, so you could get the handle to the right opening depending on the size of the fastener you want. You know, for example, you don't want to have a fastener in your hand like this and have your hand completely open trying to grab onto that fastener. You want to be able to customize how big you want that to be open for any given scenario. So this is much more usable, or you could go full open. So you want to be able to just barely get that close to closing and get a good grip on it. And so there is a solid following for these 3 position slip joint pliers, and for a good reason. These are great pliers. They do a lot in one set, and they do it well. So let's talk about then this set that I just picked up, and the company is called, and bear with me, I believe I looked it up and got it correct, but it's called Tsunoda, and it's a Japanese company. This product is made in Japan, a Japanese company that actually still makes their stuff in Japan. Not all this stuff I've had engineers, an example, do manufacture all their products in Japan, but this is most definitely one of those, and it's their 200 millimeter PLC-200U, and 200 millimeters equates to roughly 8 inches long for these pliers. So they are 8 inches in length. So, and we'll go over some of the stuff in here, but what's actually nice about these pliers, and there's several things, is they are a 3-position slip joint plier. So as you work on a fastener, you could go to the second stage here for that opening, and then the wide open jaw setting. And that opens up quite large to give you a lot of range and flexibility in the handle. So very, very nice. And overall length, I mean, since we already got it here, let's look at the overall length between the two. The Snap-on is still about, I would say, a half an inch longer in overall length. But when comparing, let's start with the points. So overall width is a little bit larger in the case of the Snap-on, and the point is going to be ever so slightly smaller with these Tsunodas. And then as far as the handles, one thing that's worth noting too is these handles actually have a very nice ergonomic feel. I actually really like the flow here, and I like that it does not pinch at the bottom, but it gives a really good position. And they got this nice forging that gives a good textured feel. It's actually very positive and grippy. Some of these can be pretty numb feeling, but this is actually pretty grippy in the hand. So if you have greasy hands, that is going to give you an additional help. But the handles are significantly narrower, as is the rest of the head. Right? It has a more defined, tight jaw feature to the pliers. And the overall beams and joints are just a little bit slimmer in that process. So overall, what that's going to allow you to do with these pliers is to get into tighter places. You're not going to have the handle so large. I mean, when you feel these snap-ons, even in this position, that is actually fairly thick. I mean, in your hand. So you're pretty wide open at that point. Whereas with these, you are already closed down. And I like that because there's a lot of times when you're trying to, work with something that's maybe it's in a tight spot, and you want to be able to get your hand and handles inside there without clipping the sides. Right? You can throw this whole thing in there. Whereas with the snap-on, that's as far as you go, right? Icon, same idea. That's as far as you go. Now, these older pliers, you're going to have a good chance of going in there, right? They still have a pretty narrow feel to these Crecents. But I like that that's kind of what Tsunoda did here with these pliers. Now, it's also worth noting, I'm going to try to catch it here in the camera for you guys, but this finish is beautiful. They did some beautiful machine work, and it's a single pass, too, coming all the way down to the tip. A very nice, and it's a circular machine. Well, it's got a slight crescent shape to it, right, as it goes across. So it has a very, very clean, very nice. This is actually a little easier to see on this side. I'll clean this off for you guys just a little bit to see. But it's a very nice machine job. Now these are riveted, and the play in them is, as you can see with my hand, very minor. Has a really good tight feel to them. They took and put their name here. It is laser etched. So once again, Tsunoda, and the part number is PLC-200U. Again, made in Japan. They're very proud of that. And I'd say in the case of these pliers, it is a nice forged steel. It has a nice chrome, kind of satin chrome finish. You can see here, there's markings here. It looks like it's the year 22. So 2022 is when they likely manufacture these. And I like how the Japanese also leave you an eyelet here in case you do want to tie it onto a leash or what have you, so you could carry them and not lose them as easy. Now they're doing some research on them. They do take a lot of pride in their tools. They do claim that each one gets a nice hand inspection, but also hand finishing to each one of these sets. And they do come back and specifically harden this jaw set, which is nice to see. And I mean, just looking at the forgings, there has been no cleanup on this end. The only cleanup you have is on the tip, and that's to give you this profile, this slightly tapered profile on the tip. So, I mean, there's the forging. There's very little to point out. I mean, it's very clean inside and out. They did a very good forging on these. And as far as trueness and straightness, I mean, these are dead nuts on. Yeah, no complaints. This is a very, very well done set of pliers. And here's the teeth. Right, you do have your more coarse triangulated shape here, and then you have this other slightly more finite, and then you have a smooth, very end tip. Right, that's probably for more of engaging metal to bend, what have you. So that is nice to have that smooth tip on the end. But I did want to touch base because as you look at this here, they do have a patent on this jaw design, and I wanted to show you why that is. And first, we'll show you first with the snap-on, because let's say, for instance, with the snap-on, you go to grab a bolt or fastener, and you can see when it's holding on here, it is holding on to these bottom corners. And I don't know about, let's see here. We'll point here so you guys could see. The pressure is going to be centralized at this corner and at this corner as you're grabbing onto this fastener. And so if it's a really tight fastener, you're going to have a hard time removing that without doing damage to those two corners. So what do you typically do? Well, you size up. Okay, so we'll go to the next position. And what does that give us? Let's take a look here. How close are we at being perfectly on? Not quite perfect, but it's pretty close. This leading edge looks like it caught, but this one, we might be just off a tad bit. So best case scenario, or I mean, we could go full open, but once again, that's too far now. So this 10 millimeter bolt isn't going to find a perfect position with these pliers. And we're regarding the tip here, guys, right? The very leading edge for grabbing on. Of course, you could make do with these, but these will actually bite up and eat up your fasteners much quicker. So ideally, this is a better setup towards the tip. Okay, so back to the Tsunodas. So what Tsunoda has done is they've done a half moon or crescent shape on both sides to allow grabbing fasteners. So, okay, not the right size. Right there. Perfect. That is grabbed perfectly in the center of both of those flats. Okay, well, how much bigger can you go with that? All right, let's jump up. Okay, well, oh, that's not going to work. Let's come back in here. Boom. Right there. Perfectly grabbing on that fastener. Well, can we go this large? Well, not really. That's going to be too large. But you have the ability now to choose, okay, well, maybe if I want to go halfway on this, I could get it in there. Perfect. On the flats. So that is a big grip. Maybe you don't want to do that big grip. So that you can go to the full size and then grab it right there. Right? That's a much better grab. So guys, what that gives you is the ability to choose which hand position you want to be in. Do you want to have it, or let's say there's overlap, right? That snap-on had overlap, so you didn't have the ability to actually get a good solid grip on a smaller fastener. Whereas the Tsunodas allow you to have that capacity to find exactly where the perfect flat spot is and not round off your edges. I think that is a great benefit to these pliers, and it gives you that extra versatility. So if you're working on something, right, so you got one of these nuts here on this turbocharger, and of course, I mean, this is a worst case scenario, guys. You're going to have the right tool for the right job, but if you need to grab onto them, you're able to grab right now onto those flats and remove and tighten that bolt. Whereas if you take these, you're going to have to find a position that's kind of close, right? You're taking that extra time to adjust it to try to get that right size. But even then, you're already tearing up the corners of those fasteners. And that, guys, is where these do a great job with that patented technology. So I got to hand it to them. This is a great tool. And these are new, guys. These just recently dropped to the end of this last year, and there wasn't a whole lot of information on these. And luckily I came across them on all places, Amazon. And pricing wise, guys, they're $17. Super cheap for a great set of pliers. Now, a couple more pieces of information on the back. It is worth noting that they claim a hardness of 49 to 53, which is, I mean, that's fairly good. That's a good hardness to them. And it does show the various opening positions. You can cut various wires. I did grab a couple here. Nothing too crazy, but it does a great job. Very clean cuts, very quick, right? Nice, quick, clean cuts, right? Because these are actually nice 90-degree angles to each other, so it does a good job snipping them out. And they have nice tolerances for being a riveted set. And even that rivet is just super nice. So what's the bad? I've talked about a lot of good in these pliers, but what's the bad? Or what do I not like? Well, it's actually a two-fold piece, and let's let's jump back in here to the snap-ons. It's going to be regarding how they've positioned the slip joint. So the snap-on has created a frowny face, let's call it that. Whereas the Tsunoda's it's a straight parallel setup. So as you jump into spot number 2 on the snap-ons, right, you actually end up changing the geometry of that jaw. Now it no longer is parallel. Well, it's parallel in this sense, but it's actually now pulling back this left-hand jaw, which offsets it. You do that with the Tsunoda's. Guess what? Still the same position. And then snap on, you go to your third and final position, and that gets right back to the proper geometry, right? Because it's back to the same position as the first one. And again, with the Tsunoda's, they do a great job all the way through. So that is a better aspect here. And I could only think that Snap-on has done it this way because you don't want to slide through these too fast, right? It actually stops itself as you go through each of those settings. So if you know you want to be in setting number 2, then you're dropping into that second setting. Whereas with the Tsunoda's, you'll fall right straight through. So it does take a little bit of effort to get it just right. Right? You got to take your time, not overdo it, because you'll lock up. Not going too far or going too far in the process. So it does make that just a little bit more cumbersome. That would be my only gripe with this set of pliers. Guys, they are sturdy, they're strong. There is very little deflection in the handle. You could tell they took their time making a solid forging and hardening these pliers. That would be my only complaint to these. I would like to see a set of dipped handles. I have not seen a set of those pop up anywhere yet. But as far as these 3-position slip joint pliers, these are solid. And I would argue I actually like them more than my Snap-ons, my Icons, Crecents. These are a great tool. And for $17, it's cheaper than all the rest. I think the Icons are $17-18 now. They used to be $21, $22. But for your money, great product. Now, warranty information-wise, it's going to be 30 days through Amazon. I didn't get much information from Tsunoda as far as selling these and what their warranty is. I might have to dive more into that. But if you don't like them 30 days, take them back. Or it's $17, guys. You're not going to get hurt by the process. So overall, guys, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you guys picked up a set? Would you pick up a set of these pliers? Anyways, thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you guys soon. And please, like and subscribe. This helps get the videos out to all your buddies out there that like these tools too, that haven't quite found them. All right, guys. We'll talk to you soon.